It was not just a border skirmish, nor a fleeting clash on the edge of the sands. What happened in Cleta was a defining moment that nearly shattered the prestige of the Moroccan army and placed the very state before a true existential test. When 3 Moroccan aircraft are shot down in quick succession and soldiers are killed and captured in a sudden, Algeria-backed assault, it ceases to be a mere military confrontation. It becomes a political slap in the face, demanding a response from the highest level of power. And so, King Hassan II himself entered the scene. Donning military uniform, he convened an emergency meeting in the royal palace and declared openly, "This is not just a soldier's battle. It is a battle of a king, a nation, and sovereignty." In this video, we return to that rare moment when the royal palace became a field command center, uncovering the behind-the-scenes story of the fiercest battle Morocco has ever fought in its long struggle against the Polisario front. So stay with us until the end. And don't forget to support us by liking the video and subscribing to the channel to receive all our new content. In 1975, the region witnessed one of the most critical geopolitical shifts in the history of North Africa, following the signing of the Madrid Tripartite Agreement, which officially ended Spanish presence in Western Sahara and divided administrative control of the territory between Morocco and Mauritania. For Morocco, this agreement marked a turning point, a restoration of what it considered its historical right over lands that were a natural extension of its borders and sovereignty. But the Polisario Front saw it as a dual occupation that jeopardized its separatist project. The front sought to liberate Western Sahara from what it viewed as Moroccan colonialism. In response, the Polisario declared armed resistance, launching guerrilla attacks on both Moroccan and Mauritanian positions. The movement soon found logistical and political backing from Algeria, which saw Morocco's presence in the Sahara as a threat to its own regional ambitions. Algeria provided bases, shelters, weapons, and training to Polisario fighters, coordinated with its allies from the Eastern Bloc at the time, such as Cuba and East Germany, alongside intermittent support from Libya. From that point onward, Morocco entered a prolonged phase of armed conflict, later known as the Moroccan Sahara War, an open-ended struggle between the principles of territorial unity and armed separatism. During this war, the Moroccan army fought dozens of battles in harsh terrain, enduring a war of attrition marked by hit-and-run tactics and sudden incursions deep into Moroccan territory, met in turn by large-scale retaliatory operations. Amid the escalating tensions of the Moroccan Sahara War, the Battle of Cleta marked a decisive turning point in the ongoing conflict between Morocco and the Polisario Front, which was militarily and logistically supported by Algeria. The year 1989 was among the most volatile of the entire war. It was then that the Polisario decided to launch a fierce and surprise offensive against advanced Moroccan army positions in the Cleta area, known for its strategic importance within the defensive sand wall. This was no mere border skirmish. It was a carefully orchestrated operation designed to achieve a symbolic battlefield victory that could later be exploited for political and media purposes. During the attack, 3 Moroccan F-5 fighter jets were shot down, and the Moroccan army suffered casualties, including both killed and captured soldiers. The incident sent shockwaves through the military establishment and raised the state of alert to its highest level. Suddenly, it seemed as though the separatist front had seized the initiative, and the messages coming from behind the scenes were unmistakable. Algeria wanted to send a clear signal that the Polisario could strike deep into Morocco's defensive lines whenever it wished. But the real surprise was not in the attack itself. It was in the response that came directly from the royal palace. The initiative was no longer left to the battlefield alone. King Hassan II personally took command of the situation. In an unprecedented political and military move, the monarch decided to set aside formal protocol and respond to the escalation with an act of pure sovereignty. This swift royal intervention upended the balance of decision-making within the state. The battle raging in the sands of Cleta was no longer just a fight over territory. It had transformed into a matter of national dignity and sovereignty. From that pivotal moment emerged the outlines of what would later be known as Morocco's National Defense Project in the Sahara, a doctrine founded on the full integration of military and political decision-making under direct royal command. In a rare historic moment, King Hassan II decided to break every royal protocol, stepping out from behind the symbolic mantle of kingship and into the realm of direct military leadership. When he appeared wearing full military attire, it was not a sentimental gesture, nor a mere display meant to inspire morale. It was a clear declaration that the political leadership itself had entered the line of fire at one of the most critical junctures of the Moroccan Sahara War. Hassan II appeared in military uniform inside the royal palace, where he chaired an extraordinary meeting of the general staff, personally announcing the launch of defensive operations in response to the Polisario Front's attack on Moroccan positions in Cleta. This announcement was, in effect, a war communiqué, articulated in the language of supreme authority that understands one principle: national sovereignty is non-negotiable, and any violation of the nation's soil must be met with a firm political decision. In a confidential address later leaked and widely circulated among the public, the king was quoted as saying, "If Cleta falls, a part of the nation's dignity falls with it, and I will never allow that." That single statement was enough to etch the battle deeply into Morocco's collective memory, remembered not only as the fiercest confrontation in the country's history with the Polisario Front, but also as the battle most closely tied to a sovereign decision from the highest level of power. After the shocking assault by the Polisario Front on Moroccan army positions in the Cleta area, and after 3 Moroccan aircraft were downed, the military leadership found itself with no choice but to quickly and decisively seize back the initiative. The response was not a limited tactical move. It formed part of a carefully prepared, comprehensive military operation planned at the highest levels, one that transcended mere immediate battlefield reaction and reached into the core of the Moroccan state's sovereign doctrine. Accordingly, the Moroccan army reorganized its forces on the ground in tight coordination with the Supreme Command, dispatching qualitative reinforcements that included elite special forces units and troops specialized in desert warfare. This move reflected meticulous military planning that understood the Battle of Cleta could not tolerate mistakes. The response had to match the scale of the challenge. In parallel with ground operations, the Moroccan Air Force entered the fight with full force, acting under direct royal orders from Hassan II, the supreme commander of the armed forces. Mirage fighters of French origin and American F-5s took off from internal air bases and carried out precision sorties against Polisario concentration points that had been identified through detailed aerial reconnaissance. The objective was not spectacle or revenge, but to strike the front's offensive infrastructure and disrupt its ability to launch similar attacks in the near future. This air campaign was not merely a resumption of strikes. It was the first time such fighters had been redeployed since the initial assault, giving the operation significant offensive momentum. It restored confidence to the combat units and allowed ground forces to advance under effective air cover, turning the sands into an open theater of fire that disoriented an enemy that had relied on surprise and rapid withdrawal. The nights that followed the strikes became a solemn, almost epic scene. The sky lit with flames from nocturnal raids, the earth trembled under bombs and artillery, and Moroccan armor advanced steadily amid harsh climatic conditions. Soldiers engaged in fierce clashes against an enemy familiar with the terrain and skilled in hit-and-run tactics. But this time, superiority belonged not to the ground or to surprise, but to whoever held air control and full institutional support in numbers and equipment. Amid one of the fiercest chapters of the Moroccan Sahara War, King Hassan II took a step that went beyond military tactics to cement an unprecedented symbolic act of sovereignty. The battle that erupted at Cleta Zemmour was not merely a confrontation between units on the ground. It was a test of the firmness of Morocco's political decision-making and its ability to turn attacks into moments of comprehensive national mobilization. When Hassan II announced the battle from the royal palace, it was not simply an emergency posture to contain a crisis. It was an intentional sovereign act carrying clear signals both domestically and internationally. Through that proclamation, he sought to assert that defense of the Moroccan Sahara was not managed behind closed doors, but was forged at the heart of the highest institutions and under the direct supervision of the head of state. The move embodied the concept of a fighting state that considers territorial protection part of the political contract binding the monarch to the people. His appearance in military attire broke the traditional image of a ruler in peacetime. That appearance was a symbolic siding with the front lines and a visual declaration that the battle affected both the summit and the base, that the army did not fight alone. The uniform was not mere clothing, but a declaration of loyalty to the soil and a message of personal engagement by the Supreme Commander of the Royal Armed Forces in the sovereignty battle. While reports spoke of 3 downed Moroccan aircraft, Morocco did not adopt a victim narrative. Instead, it escalated politically and militarily. This escalation was not an emotional reaction, but the birth of the National Defense Project in the Sahara, a strategic vision that integrates political decision-making with military confrontation within a unified framework. Understanding that deterrence is built not only by guns, but by confidence in the legitimacy of the mission and the centrality of decisive command. The Battle of Cleta Zemmour was far more than a limited field confrontation. It became the decisive turning point in shaping Morocco's national defense doctrine in the Sahara. When the gunfire ceased, the Moroccan army began to redraw its philosophy of deployment and deterrence, realizing that the war against the Polisario Front was no longer a temporary conflict, but a long-term strategic project requiring a stable and integrated military infrastructure. The boldest and most transformative step came with the decision to construct the defensive sand wall, which would later extend for over 2,500 kilometers, making it the largest defensive structure in Africa. Its purpose went beyond simple separation. It aimed to impose geographic control, secure strategic depth, and protect both civilian and military centers in the southern regions of the kingdom. Alongside the wall, Morocco established specialized desert warfare units trained under strict field conditions and adapted to the harsh desert terrain and climate. These units became the nucleus of a professional field army built on tactics, speed, and preemption, rather than traditional frontal confrontation. This military transformation was reinforced by Morocco's accelerated efforts to modernize its defense arsenal. Since the 1990s, the kingdom began integrating advanced equipment into its combat systems and strategically investing in new technologies. By the early 21st century, Morocco had acquired military surveillance satellites and later expanded into the use of unmanned aerial drones, enhancing its reconnaissance and strike capabilities without direct engagement. Thus, from the sands of Cleta Zemmour was born a new Moroccan military doctrine, one rooted in self-reliance, strategic foresight, and a continuous evolution of power projection across the Sahara. Although the Polisario Front initially achieved a tactical surprise with its early assault on Cleta Zemmour, the swift and decisive Moroccan response soon reversed the course of the battle, inflicting one of the separatist front's heaviest losses since the beginning of the conflict. According to documented Moroccan military reports, within just a few days, the Royal Armed Forces executed a series of precise, well-planned airstrikes targeting the Polisario's forward formations. These strikes dismantled entire units leading the offensive, destroyed over 30 combat vehicles and supply trucks, and resulted in the deaths of many fighters, including elements trained in Algeria and Libya. Field officers later revealed that Morocco's counteroffensive relied on a lure-and-strike strategy, allowing limited enemy penetration before encircling them from 3 sides and cutting off their retreat routes. The result was a devastating trap from which the Polisario emerged heavily weakened, both militarily and organizationally. Even leaders within the Polisario later admitted, in internal publications shared by pro-front outlets, that the Battle of Cleta Zamur was among the front's worst operational failures since the start of the war, acknowledging that the Moroccan response exceeded all the battlefield calculations on which the attack was planned. Regionally, Algeria, the Polisario's main backer, suffered an indirect political blow. Following the battle, Algiers refrained from issuing strong public statements of support and limited itself to vague comments in official media, a sign of the strategic confusion the outcome had caused within Algerian circles. On the international stage, the battle strengthened Morocco's diplomatic position. In the period following Cleta Zamur, relations between Rabat and several European capitals, notably Paris, grew closer, with France reaffirming its recognition of the Sahara as part of Morocco's national sovereignty. Later intelligence reports revealed that the United States, through its North African channels, had reclassified the Polisario in internal assessments as an unstable armed movement lacking political reliability, a move that further bolstered Morocco's standing at the United Nations. Yet the greatest impact was psychological and media-driven. While the Polisario had sought to turn the attack into a political victory, it instead found itself on the defensive before international media that showcased the scale of Morocco's response, the discipline of its military and political leadership, and the absence of clear answers from Polisario commanders regarding the heavy losses they had suffered. In the end, Cleta Zamur was not merely a battlefield, it was a moment of revelation. There, the mask fell from the true nature of the conflict, and the outlines of resolution began to take shape. When King Hassan II entered the battle, it was an implicit declaration that struggles of sovereignty are not led from behind, but from the very heart of the fight. That when a ruler seeks victory, he must first carry the rifle before he carries the proclamation. And with that, we come to the end of today's video. Don't miss the chance to stay updated, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming stories.